So I'll do introductions. So yeah, I'm infant feeding specialist midwife based on maternity ward. Covered that a bit more in the other sessions. So we're discussing today support available in Gloucestershire, throughout Gloucestershire. So obviously from the health professional side of things, plus the wonderful peer support groups we have out there. So we have with us Kirsty from GBSN, Gloucestershire Breastfeeding Support Network, with a lovely tree in the background. I like the background, Kirsty. And we have Zoe from the Breastfeeding Network. And
I can see
way
Zoe.
of working.
She's definitely there. She's got a lovely background in her picture.
Brilliant. And I can see, your garden in the background. Hi, Zoe. And Zoe, hello. You kind of here on behalf of Breastfeeding Network, and support available through that medium as well. I'm just going to try and turn around to see if it makes it any better.
Oh, that's better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll try and prop it somehow. It would be good to start off with kind of top tips feeding out and about, ladies. I imagine this is a question you get asked a lot in groups. Often mums come to groups, and particularly now there's some level of groups, isn't there, running out and about in their local parks near to the venues.
Yeah.
So kind of tips and gaining confidence, I suppose, is the thing. So gaining confidence in feeding out and about before they kind of go into a cafe or somewhere where they might feel more apprehensive. So often we, as midwives, encourage mums to go to a group or kind of practice in your kind of home environment, getting a positioning attachment, getting confident with that, trying different tops. So we talk about clothing sometimes, don't we, ladies, about so I've often talked to ladies about kind of wearing a stretchy top. Layering is key, isn't it?
The best top tip, isn't it? So a cheap and cheerful vest top, like your Primark top, or your New Look top with a stretchy, like a vest with the really thin straps underneath. And then all of a sudden you can wear all of your tops that you had in your wardrobe before to feed.
Wardrobe,
actually, I'm not going to flash, I promise, but you can lift your top up.
Have you got a cardigan?
Because I suddenly remembered I was wearing a vest underneath. So you can lift it up, and then you can take the vest down, and then you can feed without getting a cold tummy as well, because this time of year it can be a bit chilly. You get a cold tummy. So then you've got a little gap.
Like you say, so the vest top kind of covers that part. The vest top covers that part. Then you've got the rest of the top. Brilliant. Cardigans quite good. Scarves. I wear scarves naturally. I'm a person that just likes wearing scarves, and I found them really helpful because I'd kind of get my baby on and then just drape the scarf around my neck, so it kind of covered some of my chest area, and I felt less. I felt less conspicuous.
There
is some, and one of the first times. Go Zoe.
There is some really nice breastfeeding tops out now, though, with zips. And they're really handy.
Like a secret zip, isn't it?
Side? Like a secret zip.
Really clever. Down the side of your top. There's
that's quite cool.
Really good.
I found a lot of the shops and websites where you can buy pregnancy and breastfeeding clothes often had sales, because of course it's a really small market. So I managed to get some really nice feeding tops or dresses as well. And like half price, 20 quid, really nice. It was kind of a winter dress because I had my first in October, and it had layering, so it had like a layer that came over and a layer that came under. So there's a lot out there, and actually it's just thinking, kind of like you said earlier, Kirsty, kind of looking at your wardrobe, kind of thinking, right, what's stretchy, what's maybe cardigans, zip up hoodies, the ones that kind of where you've got kind of something coming down the middle.
This is quite a kind of jumper where you've got it's like a jumper that goes halfway down with the zip, with the buttons, so you can add the buttons. But there's
particularly a lot of the fabrics are quite stretchy, aren't they?
I don't know if you've ever seen it. I think Zoe, I think you're in it. There's a Facebook group called Can I Breastfeed in It? And it's
a good group.
It's a really good group where people share things that they've bought, like H&M or Primark or supermarkets or wherever, which actually they're not necessarily designed for breastfeeding, but they work really well. So if people are looking out to think, well, you know, I don't really want to buy stuff that's especially for breastfeeding, you might find actually somebody has posted something that they saw in Tesco's for sale last week, and they thought, actually, this is amazing, this would be so good for breastfeeding in. And then you can find, you know, you're looking at stuff much cheaper because it's not necessarily designed for breastfeeding, so they haven't put an inflated price on it, which sometimes they do. It's like babies, and they quite often put the price.
Absolutely. One of my favorite tops with both my two was it was like a cowl neck with it was like a poncho, you know, like the poncho, and it had a layering, so it effectively had a flap that came up like that. And that was just, it was Dorothy Perkins again, like a superhero 10, 15
cape.
It was like a cape, but it had, because it had the arms free, I didn't get too hot. It was brilliant. And actually that was just good old Dorothy Perkins. It was just one of those bargain buys that, you know, I wore it so much and used it for so many years, it got so bobbly that it was very loved and very, but it's amazing. So it's just a case of kind of thinking outside the box a bit, but that's where the groups and speaking. So both your groups are really interactive online, aren't they? They both have Facebook pages, which are really, really useful. So kind of any of those mum are using the Facebook pages and the websites as well. Support wise, so obviously for the ladies listening, there is obviously your community midwife. There's your maternity support workers that come and do the day 5 blood spot and hearing test, and your community midwives, and then your health visitors and nursery nurses that provide the ongoing support. So you should know how to contact them. In addition to that level of support, there's the infant feeding team. So there's infant feeding support midwife Emma, who's based on the maternity ward where I'm currently sat, and myself, Sophie. It's kind of, we're like additional layer, I suppose, in addition to the midwives. So for those mums or babies having trickier feeding issues, if it's not entirely going to plan, so readmissions for weight losses, we're often get involved in those cases, and other feeding issue mummies and babies. And the only unfortunate thing, we're generally around Monday to Friday, so we're generally not around on a weekend. Emma does do some banks, occasionally she is, but all our midwives here are all trained with feeding support. They all kind of know the tips and tricks and kind of lots of skin to skin, how to increase milk supply. There's lots that can be done. If it is a day where one of us isn't in, we have a message book that lives on the maternity ward, and that's the best way of getting hold of us. We've also got an email address that the health visitors and midwives can refer ladies into us that way as well, because that's the other thing, you can have your health professional refer you in. And then we kind of, as another layer of support, are the fabulous groups out there. So I myself work more closely kind of, but I suppose phone and email now, don't we ladies, really, through GBSN, so breastfeeding counsellors, providing support. So if it's okay, I thought, Kirsty, if we start off with GBSN, because Zoe, we're going to show your video at the end of your session. Is that okay if we do it that way? So Kirsty, if you're happy, to tell us a little bit about GBSN, what they do, what support is, because they've got all sorts going on, haven't you? The antenatal classes, all sorts. So I'll let you explain all. Thank you.
Busy at the moment, so obviously things are different, because normally we have 7 lovely groups across Gloucestershire that people can drop into, and that's Monday to Thursday drop-ins, various locations. They are beginning to start up again, so if people are using Facebook and they find GBSN, Gloucestershire Breastfeeding Supporters Network, on Facebook, then follow the page, and it will tell you whenever we've got groups that are coming up. And I know that we are Monday to Thursday, but I know that BFN usually have something going on a Friday as well. So we're so lucky in Gloucestershire, you can get support Monday to Friday, and actually speak to people face to face usually. So that's brilliant, and it is starting to come back. So keep an eye out and see what's going on. So we always welcome mums before their babies are born. It's
brilliant. So antenatally, they can come along anytime, can't they?
Because it's a really good idea to find out where the groups are, you know, how to get there. You might need to take a bus, or you might, if they've got parking, you can figure out where to park or how to get into the building. You know, even stuff like where do I put my pram when I arrive, and what's it going to be like, and who's going to be there. Because if you can come along before your baby's born, you might see a friendly face. We're able to give you teas and coffees. Hopefully that will come back soon, but at the moment we can't do that because obviously because of COVID. But we are really welcoming groups. People can come along before baby arrives, and after baby arrives you can come along just to get that support that you need at any stage. So whether you've got a tiny newborn or whether you've got a toddler, you are welcome to come along just for that support that mums need, really. Talking first about antenatal, so at the moment we are running some preparation for breastfeeding courses. They're workshops and they're done by Zoom and they're free, and we've just put the links up to book those on our Facebook page and our website yesterday. I think the links went up yesterday and we've put them on Facebook this morning, so you can book onto there.
They're two subsequent sessions, aren't they?
Yeah, so there's 2 sessions by Zoom, and you and your partner or your supporter, whoever you've got supporting you, welcome to come along, and they're run by breastfeeding counsellors, and they'll send you a load of information out that you can read through at your own pace, and then the workshop kind of builds on those, and you've got that to keep. You've got all the contact details following on from that. And the other thing that we're doing at the moment is we're doing one-to-one video sessions, like a video call, completely free again, because we are a charity, so we don't really want people to have to pay for this really important support. So if you're struggling, you can go to our website, and I think the link has come up on the side of this chat, so you should be able to find it. But we're gbsn.org.uk, and if you find the find support button, and you can book a one-to-one session with one of our really lovely breastfeeding counsellors. They're fantastic. They're so nice to chat to, and it can be a big worry or a little worry. It's okay if you just want to say, is this normal?
There's a lot of years experience there as well from those breastfeeding counsellors.
They're mums themselves.
Yeah, so they've done this. They've done this role a long time, haven't they, Kirsty? So they've got an absolute huge depth of experience.
And having that one-to-one video, so that we can do it any way that suits you. So if you want to do a WhatsApp video call, Facebook Messenger, or whatever, Zoom, Skype, however works.
Oh, great.
So,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, so if mums fill in the form, it says what method suits you best, and then it's next day allocation. So we've always got spaces the next day, and they're usually allocated about 8 o'clock in the evening. So
great. It's really
if it's 7 o'clock at night and you think, I just really need some help with this, fill in the form, ping it through. Someone will get in touch with you, and you can usually get a one-to-one the next day, so they will be able to help you. And it's not just a one-off thing. You are welcome to request as many as you need. You know, we're there for you, and normally we would be seeing you in groups, but because we can't, we want to make sure that you can access that really important support at the moment. And we've got emails, we've got all sorts of ways to get in touch, but we're definitely still there, and keep your eyes out for when the groups are coming back.
And the website is kept up really kept up to date, isn't it, Kirsty?
Yes,
any changes at all to any of the groups and all the virtual support that's available, it's regularly kept up to date.
Well, I would say because things are changing so quickly with the rules at the moment, it's more likely that you will see changes on Instagram and Facebook, because it could be that something changes overnight. Like we were allowed 30 at our groups last week, and now we're only allowed 15, so we had to do an overnight change pretty much there.
So the Facebook and Instagram pages.
Facebook and Instagram is the best way, but there are email addresses as well, or you can message the Facebook page if you've got any questions. That's fine. We'll get back to you.
And actually on that as well, that reminds me, so bras, I know I've spoken to one of the breastfeeding counsellors about bras, and there's definitely some peer supporters that are happy to answer questions about bra kind of fitting and kind of how the bras fit themselves, because of course that's something that's probably really hard.
It's really tricky to do that now, because again, that's something you do kind of in person, really, to make sure it fits. And at the moment, we're not really able to try things on, are we? So all the changing rooms in shops are shut, so you can't try stuff on. But there are instructions online, not that we have produced, although hopefully we will be producing some. There are instructions online of how to measure yourself and how to fit a nursing bra, and there are lots of places you can get them. We normally sell them, but obviously at the moment we can't.
Yeah.
But there are places online. So I think there's a website called nursingbra.co.uk, I think. Nursing Bra site, it might be.
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
Cheap and cheerful. You can get them in some of the high street stores are doing. I believe Primark has just introduced nursing bras.
Oh, have they? Brilliant. Yeah, I think, the high street, some of the high street ones have kind of linked onto it, so that'd be good. Yeah,
so it's worth having a look around, but you probably find that you fit differently after you've had the baby, and you probably wouldn't go just straight for your normal size. The best time to kind of measure and fit is usually after about 37 weeks, and then don't do it around 37 weeks, but then don't do it immediately after the baby's born, because the first couple of weeks it takes
there's a lot of change, isn't there? Down. I know when I got mine, the breastfeeding counsellor was she was really able to explain. She was a really good source of support. So again, using the Zoom sessions, if they want
absolutely
feeding support, but also ask about the bras as well.
Definitely.
The breastfeeding counsellors will definitely be able to help there. Brilliant.
Definitely.
Fab. Is there anything else?
So when you give your mummies their information packs, they may find this card in there. Hopefully they will, and that's got our website on it. So if you find one of those in your pack and you just pin it on your fridge or keep it somewhere safe so that you can find it again. There's a lot of leaflets and things in there that you might think, oh, that's not really something I need. But if you do see these cards, just keep one. They're quite thick.
They're wanting us to go. We're having to go like leafletless almost, really. But those are still available. All the areas have got them in the kind of card stands, in the displays, but also in the discharge.
It's got the website address on it, and then eventually it's got all our groups on the back as well. So eventually when they come back, but you don't have to come to the group that's local to you. If you need help on a Thursday, and even if you live somewhere that there isn't group running on a Thursday, you're welcome to go to a group
drive and And am I right in thinking, so if the groups are running outdoors, is it still a case of by 9 o'clock that morning, if keeping an eye on the Facebook page?
So we've probably got one more week of outdoor groups, because we're hoping to move indoors from the beginning of October, because it's going to be chilly. Today I've noticed it's a bit chilly. The weather is a bit chilly today, isn't it? So most of the groups will be going indoors from the beginning of October. But people do need to check on social media to make sure that the group's still going ahead. And it will be, because the limits now are 15. We're not going to chuck people out, and we're not going to turn anybody away. It's not going to be like that. But it's like when you go into a shop and you poke your head in and you say, oh, 4 people are allowed, can I come in, because there's 4 already. So it's just to be aware that unfortunately we are limited as to the numbers, but all the groups should have somewhere that you can wait with your baby, hopefully indoors, out of the cold. So it'd be great to see people when they can start coming back.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kirsty. That's really helpful. Really, really helpful. So as good news, there's lots of support available out there. We'll make sure the links are available at the end as well. Thank you, Kirsty. So Zoe, are you happy to tell us a little bit about Breastfeeding Network and support available at the moment in these strange times?
Okay, so the Breastfeeding Network is also a charity. All the support we give is free, and it's all given by volunteers. Currently, we've got a messaging service that runs from our Facebook page. There's also a one-to-one service that runs from there as well. So you can either message the Facebook page and ask a question, and our breastfeeding counsellors will respond, or there's a pin post at the top, and it's got Anne-Marie's mobile number and mine as well, and you can get one-to-one support by doing WhatsApp or messaging us through that way.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And groups wise, you've got a Zoom virtual group running at the moment, don't you?
We've got a Zoom virtual group running. Yep, it's Lactation Station, run by Pauline Candida. And after I've had my little talk here, then I think you're going to run a little video with them explaining about their group and what happens there. And that runs every fortnight at the moment. We've got some information through as well recently that we think maybe the Saturday group in the maternity unit might be able to start back up shortly. Fingers crossed, yes. So we're really excited about that. It's been quite difficult having one-to-ones with mums, but not being able to see them face to face and having nowhere to refer them. So that Saturday group is really important to us.
Yeah, it's a really valuable kind of source that we've missed dearly. Yeah, great, thank you. Any other ladies, either of you really, any other tips feeding out and about for ladies, or kind of?
I was going to say, if you are worried about feeding out and about because you think someone can see something that you don't want them to see, if you can find a mirror and set it up opposite your sofa or the bedroom or whatever, and then feed the baby and just look in the mirror and see what they can see, see what you can see.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant idea.
Most of the time when you're feeding a baby, I've only got a fox, if you're feeding a baby, the baby covers everything, so all that people can see is the back of the head,
the baby's head.
And it's so often that people don't even realize that the baby is feeding. They just think you're having a cuddle with your baby.
Yeah, they just think you're cuddling, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So it can be scary and it can be daunting. And whilst we would love to be able to have you at our groups and the BFN groups so that you could come and meet people and meet other mums and see, because if you're sitting opposite another mum and you're both feeding, Sophie, you've disappeared. I don't know if you know that you've disappeared. If you're both feeding, sitting opposite another mum, you're back. You'll be surprised that you can't really see what's going on. In the very early days, sometimes you find you need cushions and pillows and you've got to be in the right place. But at the moment, there's not much going on out and about anyway. So it's a really good opportunity to just stick to the sofa, put a good, find a good series on Netflix. And
that was one of your top tips that I still quote, Kirsty. So you said to me, when you had your eldest, you said to me about box set, kind of getting comfy on the sofa, box set, DVD. I think it was 24 you said to me. Do you remember 24 with Keeper?
Because our eldest are a bit older.
And a drink.
Before we had them. Yeah, it's before we had online streaming, which is amazing. It's
DVD,
so much,
Kirsty.
But
I mean, I really like baby wearing.
Yes.
And we're really lucky in Gloucestershire because we have Forest of Dean slings, and we also have Gloucester and Cheltenham Sling Library.
Yeah, brilliant.
I think we both are up and running at the moment for consultations.
We've got a session this afternoon, Zoe, actually.
Have you?
So with
Nicole.
Nicole.
With Nicole, brilliant.
That is great. I think all our children are quite similar ages, aren't they? Or kind of, I know when I was feeding, and I was speaking to Kirsty, and Nicole introduced me to a soft structured carrier. So we've got her this afternoon, and we're talking with 3 mums about slings and skin-to-skin contact.
Fabulous.
Because slings for out and about.
Are amazing.
To feed out and about and in the sling.
It's very flexible. You can do it while you're walking around even. And because you've got lots of material,
types, which is what we're gonna.
Fabulous.
Brilliant. So we're chatting about that this afternoon with Nicole. Brilliant.
Good.
Well, thank you, ladies, very much indeed. Any last top tips to finish off with? My top tip, I think, would be, this is something I used to do, would once we're kind of getting more social again, if we're allowed to go into cafes, I used to go into a coffee shop or Costa, wherever it was, and I'd kind of look at the room and which seats were available, and I'd choose one where I could put my back to the rest of the room, and whoever I was with, so with my mum, my sister, my friends, they were in front of me. So then I kind of thought, particularly this, I'm talking like early days and early weeks when I was still getting the hang of the feeding. And I remember thinking, well, I don't mind my friend and my mum seeing my boob, but obviously with your back and the rest of you, actually the rest of the cafe or wherever you're sat can't see you. But also assessing the chairs. So some cafes have got bucket chairs, and actually they're not great for a long baby
because you're squished.
Yeah, you really squished in. So when we set up this dining room that I'm in now, I got really particular about the chairs. I was like, well, we need chairs, but they aren't too. And actually, these have got a good amount. These are really good chairs for feeding in. But just looking at the chair you're going to sit in, and actually, albeit it might be a hard chair, but actually some of the more traditional dining chairs that are hard, or ones without arms or low arms, can sometimes be better than the big deep ones if they're really snug. So just thinking about where you're sitting. Yeah, I found that really helpful. And I kind of just did it second nature.
I think it's...
Any tips, Kirsty?
I think it's worth remembering, just following on from what you're saying about the cafe, that if you are allowed to be somewhere with your baby, you're allowed to feed them. So
absolutely.
So you shouldn't, in all my time feeding my babies, I only ever had people say nice things to me about
me too.
Baby. And unfortunately, sometimes some people might not be quite so friendly, but it's worth remembering that you are allowed to feed your baby wherever you're allowed to be with them. And
you are.
People would much rather a quiet baby that's feeding than a loud baby that's crying because they're hungry. So if you're feeling a little bit nervous about it and you want to feed your baby, you don't need to get anybody's permission. Just make sure you're comfortable and then just feed the baby. You know.
And actually there's a lot of cafes now and places I've seen lots of really positive reports of people being bought cups of tea and glasses of water with a very unsettled baby.
Most people love babies.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's brilliant. So rare to get negative comments, so it can be daunting, but if you're, like you say, with your mum or your sister or your friends, and you've just got that little bit of courage to do it, and that's amazing, and well done you.
I think when you're first starting to go out and about, either meeting another breastfeeding mum or another a friend, you know, your support network, who kind of, you know, you feel supported by them, so that in itself kind of buoys you up. I had a really supportive husband. He was brilliant, and just that kind of that support network of positivity, and knowing, you know, kind of thinking, right, I know such and such and such and such, they're really good, they're really supportive, I might just see if they'll meet me for a coffee, just to build your confidence. And definitely as time goes on, as you get more confident with feeding, as your baby gets more confident with feeding, it gets easier, doesn't it, ladies?
It really does.
Zoe, any last tips before we leave?
I think that even before we have our babies, we always frequent certain places and get to know places really well. Like before I was pregnant, I had a coffee shop that I used to go to, for example, and a restaurant. And when I went out and breastfed, those were the places that I fed in first, because they were the places that I knew, and I knew the owners, and I felt really comfortable in those places. So you know, I think maybe that's a good first choice, you know. Practice in your house, practice at your relatives' houses maybe, and then when you go out to a place where you're comfortable and you've been before,
where you feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, ladies. Hopefully that's been a really helpful session. Loving the positivity. It's nice to see you all.
Sophie, we've got a question here that's popped up, and it said,
so the last time I looked at questions,
there's a question that says, what advice would you give to mums who want to make other mum friends? Well, I would say you're about to show a video about lactation stations, so the Zoom is a good idea.
Yeah.
But if people can find, and it's so hard at the moment, it's so hard to find groups that are running.
It is, yeah.
But if you can find a baby group that you can go to, then pop along and just say hi, because they're all in the same situation as you are with the baby.
Yeah.
There's some nice online supportive groups as well. I mean, it's not face to face, but it's still a way that you can communicate with other mums and you can chat.
Yeah.
Well, also sometimes, Zoe, as well, so with your online support messaging, definitely in groups, you kind of feel a bit more confident, I suppose, texting or writing some text, getting in contact with people that way, before then kind of seeing them at, say, a group, where definitely that kind of, you're seeing other people, you're feeling, particularly if you're feeling really tired. I know when the days I felt really tired and drained, one of my most memorable times, and it's a kind of a negative that turned into a positive, I was really, really tired. My son was 4 months old, and I went into a baby group, and it's a cafe run in a church in my local town, and the key there was cake. They had the most amazing cake and tea,
always,
and they had snacks for children. It was brilliant. And the lady running it, actually, such a kind face and such a smile on her, and she said, "Are you okay? Can I get a cup of tea?" And actually, the fact she just said, "Are you okay?" I burst into tears. She was so lovely. She said, "Right, you go and have a seat over there." She brought me tea and cake. I sorted out payment later on, and she listened. And it was just simply, she smiled at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I know her now around the town, and I see her and I smile. And that was, I really appreciated that day. And I did have a friend meeting me about 20-30 minutes later, but I remember feeling really vulnerable and tired. Just emotional, and actually just for someone to say, "Are you okay?" So having that confidence. Most mums been through been through different journeys, but I'd say definitely kind of from a midwife kind of perspective, I've definitely seen people that have had tricky pregnancies but all right births, tricky births, and then had feeding problems. We've all had some kind of challenges along our way, and I think a simple smile and kind of "Are you okay?" can really help break down barriers.
I think when you've got a baby and you see another mum with a baby, you kind of think, oh, I wonder if she'd be my friend. you know, just because you're going through the same thing at the same time. But that a smile,
you're going through it at the same time, aren't you? I remember some of my daughters now, she's best friends with one of the ladies from Bob's, and even now we support each other and we talk about kind of challenges that we're experiencing now with our older children, and that support continues. And that started with feeding. We both had tricky tiredness, lack of sleep was definitely
you bond over the tiredness with a cup of tea and a piece of cake. So if there are places that you can find to go, and the GBSN groups are starting up again, and
I know the Cirencester one. So again, and like goes back to the Facebook pages. I saw a post about the Cirencester one. They found tea and cake for a group. Brilliant.
So
fab stuff.
Quite central to groups, I think. I know from the BFN groups I've been along.
As
well, there's
as
well. So
definitely.
It's important, I think.
Is there another question, Kirsty, or is
there is a question? Here we go. Somebody's a good app. It's called Peanut, which is a bit like Tinder for mums, which it's a bit like it's a kind of matching app. So it's a good app. It's called Peanut.
I think I've heard of it.
Free. You can chat online and arrange to meet up too. There's another one. Called Mush as well, I think, MUSH, which is
Mush.
So Mush and Peanut might be a good way for people to see who's around in their local
and they're both
area.
Apps.
Yes, they're both apps.
Brilliant. Fab. Thank you very much, ladies.
I
think that's it, isn't
Thanks
it?
for having us.
You see, when I get the questions up. Right, well, thank you very much, Kirsty, for your time and chatting about GBSN. Do appreciate it greatly. Lovely to see you. Zoe, thank you very much for your time as well. And I think we're finishing off with a video from a Breastfeeding Network. So thank you, ladies, and here's the Breastfeeding Network video.
Hi, I'm Polly.
And I'm Candida.
And we run Newent Lactation Station.
We run currently from the Newent Fire Station. There's a community room at the back. But since COVID has been in our midst, we have now moved to Zoom, where we're virtually meeting mums and their families.
Which usually means we're sat at a kitchen table somewhere, and also means that you might have to make your own tea as opposed to us offering you lots of tea and biscuits.
It's been a nice way, although it's been difficult not seeing people face to face, but it has been a nice way in holding space for mums and their families, especially new mums that have had babies in this period. It's been a nice time to be able to have a space for them to be able to meet other mums virtually and to be able to see Polly and I and chat about their breastfeeding journey and things that they're navigating.
Yeah, it's been really nice, and it's also been nice for even if a mum's been to us a few times before and then just wants to join us, just to see some friendly faces that aren't within her household. Because like with our group, you don't, necessarily need to have a specific problem that you need to come with. You're quite welcome to come and join us and have a cup of tea and just chat to other mums who are feeding their babies.
And that's one thing that we both like. We like to see those friendships develop really between other mums in the community.
And it's nice for a mum who is struggling a bit to see other mums that are sort of, doing really well. It gives them a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Anyway, we've got the rest of this presentation is just a little bit of information about us and all the things that you need to know, and at the end is our link to our Facebook page where you can find our Zoom information.
So we'll be around for the rest of the day on this page and our own page for any comments or chats you'd like to have.